Nearly no one will deny, Spongebob is amazing. This little guy has been entertaining kids all around the world for almost 15 years now, and with a second movie coming out next year, I think it's about time we look back at the episodes of this series and see which one's the best. We're gonna start with Season 1 and then go down through every season. As soon as we hit Season 4, we'll start making worst lists along with the best lists. Now, before we even start, let me first say, don't get mad if one of your favorite episodes doesn't make the list. There are 40 episodes in total in this season, which only leaves me to pick out 25% of this entire season. There are obviously going to be a lot of cuts. Sorry if I don't pick out your favorites. So, this is a tribute for the show we all know and love, or at least used to love. These are the top 10 best episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants Season 1.
True to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his
Number 10. Pickles. I don't think I know a better episode to start this list off with. This episode is about SpongeBob losing to his greatest enemy yet, Bubble Bass, by forgetting the pickles on the Krabby Patty. And with the stress of losing again getting to his mind, he forgets how to make Krabby Patties. Hell, he forgets how to do anything right. As a kid, this episode made me sit down and force myself to memorize the order in which a Krabby Patty is prepared. I used to see those little gummy patties in the store, and I'd get so pissed off and scream, "That's not how you make a Krabby Patty!"
First bun, then patty, followed by ketchup, mustard, pickles, extra onions, lettuce, cheese, tomatoes, and bun, in that order.
I'll say this now, I love it when cartoon characters go absolutely insane, and this is no exception. Inside SpongeBob's house, you'll see the finest decor, such as cooked sausages and shoes on the television, toast and eggs nailed to the wall, and here at SpongeBob's Pineapple, we wear the greatest and fanciest wear. Never walk around without a pair of underwear on your head. Also, we eat bikes. It's tastier than you think. You'll never believe the twist in this episode. Bubble Bass was actually hiding the pickles under his tongue. Also, considering the time we've seen pass, he's been hiding them for at least 3 days. Wouldn't the pickles be kind of dried out or taste weird? What do you have to say about this, Bubble Bass?
And there's my ride.
Overall, this episode is greatly weird. It's quite the odd episode, but either way, it's extremely entertaining. I feel happy to start the list off with a great episode like this.
My Krabby Patty.
He burnt my fries.
He burnt my shake.
Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.
Number 9. Jellyfishing. I've just noticed how simple these names are. I mean, Jellyfishing, Pickles, The Paper, Bubble Stand? What's next? If they have an episode about having a good time, are they gonna name it... Oh. Nice job, guys. Jellyfishing is essentially what a modern SpongeBobologist would call a Squidward torture porn. This is usually referred to episodes of SpongeBob that have Squidward being the main focus of torture. This, however, is one of the only good episodes in that category. This episode would have been terrible if it wasn't funny as ever. The plot goes as such. Squidward gets injured by a jellyfish and ends up having to be in a wheelchair and bandages all across his body. SpongeBob and Patrick want to try and cheer him up by making his quote-unquote best day ever. No, not that one. When they can't seem to cheer him up, they take him jellyfishing, leading to...
Firmly grasp it in your hand. Firmly grasp it. Firmly grasp it. That ought to do it.
Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.
Number 8. Do you like Sandy? Do you like rockets? Well, then this is the perfect episode for you. This is Sandy's Rocket. SpongeBob and Patrick invade Sandy's privacy and go into space in her rocket. When they come back, they think that they're on the moon, when in reality, they're actually on Earth, leading them to believe everyone is an alien. Let me just say, the premise alone is pure comedy gold. We go from thinking Squidward is pregnant, to shooting Mr. Krabs, to sniping everyone Bikini Bottom TF2 style, to Patrick netting himself. I mean, who doesn't love the imprisonment of others? Along with Plankton, this episode was one of the first to throw scientific aspects into the series. It also introduced Sandy's love of science, one of her most defined character traits to this day. It's also got this.
Hey, you got your toothpaste in my peanut butter.
Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.
Number 7. Hooky. Ha! Get it? Because they're hooks, and they're playing hooky. Ha ha ha!
Boo! You stink!
This episode is about SpongeBob and Patrick going to the carnival!
Going to the carnival, going to the carnival.
Have you ever wondered what happened when you didn't get a catch on your fishing line? Well, this episode is here to tell you. SpongeBob and Patrick get hooked on hooks, even when Mr. Krabs already told them about the dangers of them. SpongeBob eventually gets permanently hooked on one, and you know what that means. He eventually has to go to Mr. Krabs for help. You know what he tells him, right? It's time to get naked.
Oh no. Oh no, 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 Mr. Krabs! I can't do it! Anything but that!
It's an overall very simple episode that just works. I almost never thought I'd say this, but it's actually quite funny to see SpongeBob in pain. Not to mention, the ending is my favorite part of the entire episode. Patrick arriving from the bus in a frigging tuna can. It's a great episode. I guess you can say I reeled you guys in with that one.
Boo! You stink!
Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.
Number 6. Arg. Hey, have you ever played a board game? Well, not like this. Mr. Krabs ends up getting obsessed with a board game based on the Flying Dutchman that SpongeBob and Patrick showed him. He then uses this opportunity to reenact the game in real life. You know, I tried that when I was younger. I got stopped by people after hitting the Get Married space on my Game of Life board. Let me tell you, that was not pretty.
Well, I see Mr. Krabs' zipper is undone.
Shiver me timbers!
They crash the ship and end up walking on foot. Then they have to do something so unforgettable, so dangerous, that it will live on forever as a mystery to the eyeing public. They have to go west.
West, Patrick. You're fired again.
Eventually the three of them set up camp, and SpongeBob and Patrick end up touching the map, to discover in reality, the map is their old game board. They do indeed find the actual treasure and fight over it. However, the Flying Dutchman comes down and smacks all of them, but leaves them a tip. It's an overall fun adventure that the show really needed at the time. Taking their superior comedy on a pirate adventure was just what the doctor ordered. Now all I need is to find out if the doctor can check Mr. Krabs' sweat glands.
Mr. Krabs, you're looking all sweaty again.
True to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.
Number 5. Employee of the Month. Right off the bat, we were introduced to the idea of SpongeBob and Squidward being somewhat of enemies in the show, and this episode put a lock on that statement. SpongeBob has been Employee of the Month 26 times in a row, and Mr. Krabs puts the idea in his head that Squidward could possibly snatch the award from him. SpongeBob gets paranoid and ends up trying to sabotage him, leading Squidward to actually attempt beating SpongeBob. This leads to a lot of funny gags and jokes that gets a laugh out of me every time I watch it. I don't have very much footage for this episode, so I'll sum this up right now. It's a fun competition that is extremely entertaining. It reminds me of a more competitive version of another episode. Speaking of which...
Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.
Number 4. Pizza delivery. What? Pizza delivery is not number 1? Dislike! Unsubscribe! I'm going to go listen to someone who actually knows what comedy is! Well, sorry, I didn't know I was such a bad person for not liking an episode as much as 3 others. I should just go drown in a lake of lava, shouldn't I? Okay, but in all seriousness, this is probably the funniest episode on this list. I love the humor. It's just so correctly timed and well executed that it should go in the world record books. I don't know a single person who doesn't love this episode. And if there is such a person in existence, I don't want to meet them. Ever. When Mr. Krabs gets a random request for a pizza, SpongeBob and Squidward are forced to deliver it. When they lose their car, they're forced to deliver it on foot, leading it to the most memorable moment in Season 1.
Rusty Krab, pizza is the pizza, yeah, for you and me.
Yes, SpongeBob, your pizza brings all the boys to the yard. We get it, we get it. It's also really nice to see Squidward stand up for SpongeBob like that. It's touching. I can see why this episode is almost everyone's favorite Season 1 episode. It's funny nonsense that'll get a laugh out of you every single time. Seems plausible as a classic episode.
Just a stupid boulder.
It's not just a boulder. It's a rock. A rock. A rock.
Where?
Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.
Number 3. Rock Bottom. This episode absolutely hates SpongeBob. Like it wishes for SpongeBob's death, kind of like the internet does nowadays. Somehow they turned that premise into a comedy goldmine with a diamond pickaxe to boot. SpongeBob and Patrick are coming out of Glove World and board the bus. Unfortunately, they annoy the absolute crap out of the bus driver and end up getting kicked out, leaving them stranded in the unknown town of Rock Bottom. But the bus comes back and picks up Patrick and leaves SpongeBob. And the torture begins. He tries to get a kelp bar, bus leaves, and another guy steals it. He disguises as a bench, and the bus leaves. Bus leaves while he's tying his shoes, bus leaves while he's chasing after a balloon, bus leaves while he's looking down, bus leaves while he's taking a dump. The bus driver just really hates SpongeBob. Usually when this is done nowadays, it's usually aimed towards Squidward. And like I said before, these are called Squidward torture porns. If that term is correct, then this is a definite SpongeBob torture porn. And yet, it's real fun to watch. It's an overall enjoyable episode that wants you to sympathize with SpongeBob in all the right ways. How about that? What do you think, SpongeBob?
Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.
Number 2.
I
Ripped
thought that I had everybody
pants.
on my side.
This is probably
But
the
I went
defining
and
episode
blew
of
it.
Season
All
1,
sky
and with good
high.
reason.
And now she won't
The
even
one thing I'm
stare
pretty sure
past my
everyone
eyes.
knows about this
All
episode
just
is the
because
absolutely
I
amazing
ripped
song.
my pants.
When Big Larry came round just to put him down, SpongeBob turned into a clown.
It's everyone's favorite part of the episode, including mine. But there's still much more to love here. Sadly, I can't seem to find this episode anywhere on the internet, so I unfortunately have to make this quick. Trust me, I'm getting just as tired as you are of me having to make these go by fast. It's a great episode, with a great message and a great song. What more could you want?
Now I learned a lesson I won't soon forget. So listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself.
Now, before we get to the number one, let's go through some honorable mentions that barely didn't make the cut. Tea at the Tree Dome. It's funny and quite quotable with the whole pinky running joke and the don't need it joke. It's also the introduction to Sandy, and a great one at that. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Introducing our superheroes, people. The idea of old superheroes is quite an interesting one, and it really shows in their first episode. I guess Aquaman isn't so useless after all. The Paper. It's simplistic yet funny. I like all of the comedic possibilities that the creative eyes of the writers have to bring us. It's kind of like Bubble Stand, which I will say did not make the list or the honorable mentions. SB129. Karate Choppers. This episode is actually kind of hard to explain, so I'll just leave it at, it has some great fight scenes, and funny moments. Sleepy Time. It's a really interesting episode. It's a great premise with loads of potential. Now that we're done with that, let's get on to number one.
Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped it.
And the number one SpongeBob Season 1 episode is... Naughty Nautical Neighbors. Okay, this doesn't usually happen to me, especially with something like SpongeBob, but this is an episode I had a personal connection with. I find this episode beautiful in its entirety. Let me explain. In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick blow bubbles to communicate with each other, but this annoys Squidward, and he ends up insulting them in each other's voices. This leads to them to believe that they were calling each other names, and leads to them breaking up as friends. The set alone is extremely emotional. The only thing interrupting it is the comedy. I would complain if this wasn't the second funniest episode of the season next to Pizza Delivery. You don't always need straight up emotion to hold up an episode like this, as long as you deliver it correctly. And boy, this episode delivers entertainment better than Jimmy John's.
Freaky fast delivery.
The episode is about a broken friendship mending back together through soda, and let me tell you, if you can't raise your cup to that, you need some serious help. From all through this list, I've mainly talked about the aspect of comedy and storytelling, but my number one adds in a touching factor into the mix. Naughty Nautical Neighbors makes me happy every time I watch it. Let it be known that this is my favorite SpongeBob Season 1 episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked this video, and any other cartoon reviews or top 10s I may upload in the future, I would advise you to click that little subscribe button you see right there. Oh, and by the way, I am making top 10 lists of all the other SpongeBob seasons. So, what's next? Right in the childhood.